Hello everyone, welcome to Earth IAS. I am Amit. Friends, in this lecture, we are going to discuss previous year question papers of prelims examination of UPSC from 2013 to 2020-24. Right? Means we are discussing 12 years question papers, and currently we are doing the topic polity. Right? And this is second lecture of this series. Right? And the PDF of these questions along with detailed explanation has been given, uploaded in the Telegram channel. You can go and download. The link is given in the description box. Right? So first we will see the trend analysis, right, of this topics question. Right? So first just see what is the trend, means how many questions does UPSC ask every year from this topic. Right? So in this lecture we are going to discuss 2014's question papers of polity section, and in the previous lecture we have discussed 2013 question paper of polity section. Right? So just see the trend analysis. You can clearly see that right, this is the trend. I have made a table for you. Right? So you can clearly see that how or what is the weightage of polity every year in prelims. Right? So you can see that in 2016 there were 16 questions. Right? 16 questions. In 2014 exactly 14 questions. Here I would like to tell you that actually from polity section there were 12 questions, right, and 2 from IR. Right? Combinedly here it has been written 14 questions, but in this lecture we are discussing the uh, questions of polity section. That's why we will discuss only 12 questions. Rest 2 IRs will be done in another section. Right? Means another topic of previous year question papers. In this lecture we are going to discuss only 12 questions. Right? So again in 15 it was 13, 16 it was 7 lowest, and you can see in 2017, okay, till date highest number of questions from polity 22 questions, and this is how average. Right? If you find average, no, you will find average 14 questions average every year. Right? Average you can see 16, 14, 13, 13, 15, 17, 11, 15, 15, 18. Right? Even last year in 2024 it was 18 questions. Right? There were 18 questions from polity section. So you can understand the importance weightage of polity. Right? Now let's start the session. Right? Discussion of questions. Right? First question is, it says, friends, just read the first question, then I will tell you something. That first it says, which of the following are associated with planning in India. Right? Planning. Right? If you have seen my previous lecture, right, means 2013's discussion, you will find that, right, certain, this was in option National Development Council. Right? That's why in my previous lecture, and again I am repeating that whenever you are solving the previous year question paper, no, you should solve the, or you should know about the options. Right? You should know about the options. You should even explain the options also. Right? What happens that generally, though question is not repeated but topics are repeated, and sometimes what happens that the options becomes question for the next year. This is a kind of hints from the side of UPSC. Right? So you should be aware of these things. Be very careful while solving the PYQs. Right? So first let's again read the question. It says, which of the following are associated with planning in India. Right? First, finance commission. If you are aware of the finance commission, then you will be knowing that it is not involved in finance commission. Right? As per article 280, its primary function is what? To suggest the distribution of taxes between center and state governments, right, among the different state governments, and all these things are there. Right? Second, National Development Council, obviously it has very important role in planning. Right? It worked along the side of, or along with planning commission. Currently it is Niti Aayog. Right? So this is correct. Third, Union Ministry of Rural Development. it, listen, each and every ministry have some kind of role in planning, but not direct, right? They have suggestions, they have recommendations, but the question asked which of the following are associated with planning, right? So this is not the correct answer. Again, Union Ministry of Urban Development, not the correct answer. Lastly, Parliament, obviously, right? The supreme legislative body. So all the plannings, programs, schemes, right, where these are done, obviously in the Parliament, by the Parliament, right? So only statement 2 and 5 are correct, that is National Development Council and Parliament are associated with planning in India, right? Now you have to find the correct answer. A says 1 2 and 5, no. B says 1 3 and 5, no. C says 2 and 5. Obviously C is the right answer, because I told you that only 2 and 5 are correct, right? So C would be the right answer, right? C is the right answer. No need to go for D or A or B, right? C is the right answer of this question. Now check the explanation, right? So this is the explanation, right? I have already explained, nothing new about. You can pause the video and you can read, or you can download the PDF and you can read from the PDF, right? Let's move towards the next question, right? Question number 2. So it says very you can say single response question, right? And it says the sales tax you pay while purchasing is a toothpaste is, right? Here listen, though you can consider this question with, or you can correlate this question with economics, right? But here the question, this type of question has been included in polity section, because why? It shows the center state relation, right? Reflects the center state relation regarding tax collection, right? So currently this question, okay, has no importance. Why? Because after 2017, means 1st July 2017, after the implementation of GST, all this sale tax or other taxes have been subsumed to GST, right? But we are discussing, so let's find the right answer. It says the sale tax you pay while purchasing a toothpaste is what? Tax imposed by the central government. B, tax imposed by the central government but collected by the state government. C, tax imposed by the state government but collected by the central government. And D, tax imposed and collected by the state government, right? So this is the correct answer. D is the correct answer. Why? Because that time, okay, it is 2014's question, no, right? So it was before, means pre GST, right? Before the implementation of GST. So that time sale tax, right, came under what? State list, right? So it was imposed and collected by the time, right, by the state. So D would be the right answer of this question, right? Simple. Now you can check the explanation, right? Here is the, already I have discussed, right, that before GST, what means, before 2017 sale tax was a state subject under entry number 54 of what did I say? State list. In the 7th schedule, obviously you will be knowing about 7th schedule, right? It has 3 lists: union list, state list, concurrent list, right? Simple. And post GST, already I told you that these sales taxes and other taxes have been subsumed into GST. Now we will see our third question, right? So friends, as I told you that there are certain topics which are very important for our prelims perspective every year, right? For example, governor, president, legislature, center state relationship, right? All these topics are parliament, all these are very important topics, and question comes from these topics every year, right? So I will make a separate video on the important topics that you should revise in last 50 days, right? So first we will read the question. It says, which of the following are the discretionary power given to the governor of state, right? So in which situation the governor can apply his or her own discretionary power, right? So first is sending a report to the president of India for imposing president's rule. Obviously here, for example, the ruling government in the state has lost its majority, right? Or the state government has failed to comply the instruction of central government, in that situation, the governor can apply his or her own discretionary power, right, and can send report to the president for imposing president's rule. So this is correct. Second, appointing the ministers, no, right, here the governor, though the governor appoints the other ministers, right, including CM, but the ministers will be appointed, means the list of ministers is given by the chief minister and he should act accordingly. Here he cannot apply his or her own discretionary power, right. Third, reserving certain bills passed by the state legislature for consideration of president of India. Obviously this is clear cut, very clear statement, right. Here the governor can apply his or her own discretionary power. Last, making the rules to conduct the business of state government, no, here governor cannot make or use discretionary power, right. So only statement 1 and 3 are correct, right. 1 and 3 are correct, so you can choose the correct option. First says 1 and 2, no. B says 1 and 3, obviously B would be the right answer. Only statement 1 and 3 are correct, right. No need to go for C or D. So what is the correct answer? B is the correct answer. Only statement 1 and 3 are correct, right. You can check the explanation. I have already explained. You can pause the video and you can read the options, right. Now fourth question, it says very straightforward question. If you know, if your concepts are clear, then you can answer this question within a second. If you don't know, then right. First it says the power to increase the number of judges in the Supreme Court of India is vested in, right, means simply the question asks that who can increase the number of judges in the Supreme Court of India. Simple. First is President of India, right. No, though President of India appoints the judges of Supreme Court, right. How it is, we will discuss it later, right. Second, the Parliament, right. Obviously the Parliament, right. Parliament is the right answer because only the Parliament can increase the number of judges of Supreme Court, right. Chief Justice of India, no. The Law Commission, never, right. So B is the correct answer, Parliament, right. Why? Just see the explanation, right. See, it says, already I told you, the number of judges of Supreme Court of India including Chief Justice is not fixed by the Constitution, right, and determined by Parliament through legislation, right, by passing law, right. And listen, since independence, right, means you can say after, especially after 1956, right, the number of judges in the Supreme Court has been increased continuously, right. So as per article 124 clause 1, it says, simply says, the Supreme Court of India shall consist of Chief Justice of India and other judges as prescribed by the Parliament, right. Means clearly as per article 124 clause 1, right, the Parliament has authority, right, to increase the number of judges in the Supreme Court, right. And in 1950 you would be knowing that only there were one Chief Justice and 7 other judges, right. But currently, right, currently it is 34, right. And over the years the number has been increased, right. Already I have told you 10, 13, 17, 25, 31, right. And currently it is 34, right. Other explanation is here. You can pause the video and read the explanation, right. Now fifth question. Fifth question says, again very straightforward question, right, and single response question. If you know, then you can easily, it will take few seconds, right. So it says the power of the Supreme Court of India to decide disputes between center and the state falls under, right. So who can decide the dispute between the center and state governments, right. Simple. So first it is the Supreme Court, but under which jurisdiction, right. There are, you do knowing different types of jurisdiction, right. Writ jurisdiction, appellate jurisdiction, original jurisdiction, advisory jurisdiction, right. So under which jurisdiction the Supreme Court can what decide the dispute between center and states, right. So first says advisory jurisdiction, no. B. Appellate jurisdiction? No. C. Original jurisdiction, right? D. Writ jurisdiction? No. So original, why original jurisdiction? Original jurisdiction simply means no other court, right, in India has power to decide such dispute or finalize such dispute, right? Only Supreme Court of India has power to what, decide the dispute between center and state or between different states. Even not high courts are allowed to do so, right? And it comes under what, which, original jurisdiction. That is the meaning of original jurisdiction, means only Supreme Court of India is allowed to do, right? You can check the explanation. And already I told you advisory jurisdiction. For example, here advisory jurisdiction means what, the president can seek any advice from the Chief Justice of India, right? Means Supreme Court, especially Chief Justice of India, in legal matters. That is called advisory jurisdiction, right? Appellate jurisdiction means what, anyone, right? Anyone can knock the door of Supreme Court by way of appeal. That is the simple meaning of appellate jurisdiction, right? For example, you can file PIL, right? Or even if you have come from lower judiciary than high court than Supreme Court, by appellate jurisdiction, not directly, right? One exception is what, in case of violation of fundamental rights, right? In that situation, under article 32, right, any person can knock the door of Supreme Court under article 32 for the enforcement of their fundamental rights, and it comes under writ jurisdiction, right? So you can check the explanation. I have already explained each and every option. So the correct answer is, I told you, original jurisdiction, option C, right? You can pause the video and read the explanation I have already explained. Now we will move towards the sixth question, right? Sixth question says, it says, which of the following is or are, right, is or are function or functions of cabinet secretariat, right? For example, if you become IS officer, okay, at very young age, for example 21 or 22, that then there is high chance that you can be the cabinet secretary of this country, right? Very high chance, right? So work hard, right? Study honestly and be well prepared for the upcoming exam, or even for the next year or whatever you are going to attempt, right? Crack the exam at very first stage, at the very first attempt, right? So it says about the function of cabinet secretariat. First says preparation of agenda of cabinet meetings. Obviously, this is correct answer. Second, secretariat assistance to cabinet committees. Obviously, these two are function of cabinet committees. Cabinet secretariat. First, what, preparation of agenda for cabinet meetings, and second, secretariat assistance to cabinet committees, right? Third, allocation of financial resources to ministers. No, this is not the function of cabinet secretariat, right? So only statement 1 and 2 are correct. Now choose the correct answer. A says one only, no, right? B says 2 and 3, no. C says 1 and 2. Obviously, C is the right answer because statement 1 and 2 are correct. So C is the right answer, right? No need to go for D. C is the right answer of this question, right? Now you can check the explanation. Simple here. These are the functions of cabinet secretariat, right? First, I told you, first statement, preparation of agenda for cabinet meeting. It is correct. Why? Because it plays a crucial role in preparing agenda for the cabinet meeting and ensuring that relevant issues are discussed, right? Second, secretariat assistance to cabinet committees. This is also correct. It provides administrative and secretarial support to various cabinet committees which deal with important policy matters. Also correct. These two are also correct. Third, allocation of financial resources to ministers. Not correct, right? Actually, it is incorrect, right? Not correct. This is incorrect, right? So only two statements are correct because this function does not fall under the cabinet secretariat, right? And financial allocation is handled by Ministry of Finance, obviously, particularly the Department of Expenditure and Finance Ministry through the budgetary process. right? So cabinet secretariat has no role in allocation of financial resources to the ministries. It only sets or prepares agenda for the cabinet meeting, and again assistance, providing assistance to cabinet committees, right? Now we will move towards the next question. Seventh question, right? Again, as I told you even in my previous lecture, that there are certain important articles you should remember, and remember, trust me, by heart remember all the schedules, right? You can see this question is directly from the schedules, right? If you remember, you can easily, it can easily take second, right? Few seconds, right? So it says, which of the following schedules of the constitution of India contains provisions regarding anti-defection law, right? You would be doing, right? So which schedule? No need to, if you remember, obviously you know the answer. It is the 10th schedule, right? Without uh, seeing the option, you can say it is in the 10th schedule, right? So A says second schedule, no. B says fifth schedule, no. C says eighth schedule, no. D says 10th schedule, right? And this anti-defection law, right, was brought to check the defection of legislators, right? So they are not allowed to change their party, right, political party very easily, right? Now check the explanation. Obviously you have to remember this. It was right. It was added by, or added in the constitution by 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act, which year? 1985, right? This is, you should remember, right? It may be that the UPSC may ask that which, by which amendment anti-defection law was added in the Constitution of India. So you should remember, it is 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1985, right? And why? Obviously to disqualify, or for the disqualification of members of parliament or members of legislative assemblies if they defect from their party. Defect means what? They change their party, right, due to any whatever need or greed, you can say, right? So options already I told you, right? You should remember the other articles, sorry, other schedules. Now we will move towards the next question. Eighth question, right? Again I would suggest that you should remember all the articles of directive principle of state policy, all the articles of fundamental rights, and all the articles of all the 11 fundamental duties. Again I am repeating, remember all the articles of fundamental rights, right? All the articles of DPSPs and all the fundamental duties, right? These are very important for your events prelims, right? And even in means they help you a lot while writing answer, right? So it says, in the Constitution of India, promotion of international peace and security, right? Promotion of international peace and security is included in the, where it has been included, right? So first, preamble to the Constitution, no, right? Nowhere in the preamble there is mention of promotion of international peace or security. There is no mention, right? It talks about justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, right? All these things, but not about international peace or security, right? Second, directive principle of state policy. Obviously, it includes, right, the provision for promotion of international peace and security. So you can listen, you can remember in the previous section, means of 2013's previous year question paper, we have discussed same topic, right? Same topic, international peace, right? International treaty, and there were options regarding parliament, right? You can watch the part 1 of this series, right? 2013's PYQ discussion, right? So you can see how UPSC repeats the topics of options, right? So in directive principle of state policy, promotion of international peace and security has been included, right? No need to go for fundamental duties or ninth schedule, right? You can check the explanation, right? So as I told you that you should remember all the articles. Why? Of DPSP fundamental rights and all the fundamental duties. Why? Because if you know, for example, Article 51 clearly states, right? Just read 51, right? Article 51 comes under DPSP. You would be knowing Article 36 to 51, right? Article 36 to 51 comes under what? DPSP comes under this article 51, 36 to 51, right? And 51 says, Article 51 says promotion of international peace and security. So if you remember, it will take a second, right? And it says the state shall endeavor to promote international peace and security. Second, maintain just and honorable relation between the nations. Foster respect for international law and treaty obligations. And lastly, encourage settlement of international disputes by arbitration, not by war. So all these clauses are nothing but they promote international peace and security, right? So other options already I have discussed, no need to go for that. Now we will see our ninth question, right? So friends, this type of question checks your conceptual clarity. If your concepts are clear, right, you can easily tackle such type of question, right? So just read the question. It says, consider the following statement: a constitutional government is one which. So this question is about constitutional government. Constitutional government, in simple terms, the government which is, right, running on the basis of constitutional provisions, right? And if you want to know about the basic concept of constitution and constitutionalism, right, you can watch my lecture. I have made a separate video on the topic constitution and constitutionalism, right? And constitutional government means what? Again I am repeating, a government that is running on the basis of constitutional provisions, right? Limited government, right? Simple meaning, constitutional government means what? Limited government. It does not have unrestricted, unlimited powers, right? Constitution puts restriction on the arbitrary action of government. That is the simple meaning of constitutional government, right? So first is, it places, means constitutional government places effective restriction on individual liberty in the interest of state authority. No, right? Though this statement to some extent may be correct, but not correct, because state constitutional governments, right, is not supposed to put what? Restrictions. It says restriction on individuals' liberty, right? Though reasonable restrictions are allowed. For example, Article 19, right, allows what? Reasonable restrictions to maintain public peace, order, health, morality, right? But it does not mean that state will impose unreasonable restrictions. State does not have arbitrary powers. Second says, a constitutional government is one which places effective restriction on the authority of a state. Obviously, right? I told you constitutional government means what? Limited government, right? Limited government means what? It has limited powers. It cannot do anything, whatever it likes, right? So here, constitutional government actual means what? It places effective restriction on the authority of a state in the interest of individual liberty, right? So only second statement is correct, right? So you can check the correct answer. A says one only, no. B says only two. So B would be the right answer of this question. No need to go for C or D, right? Now check the explanation. Right, here is the explanation. You can pause the video and you can read, right? You can pause the video and you can read the explanation here. I have already explained, right? Now moving towards the next question, 10th question. It says, consider the following statements: the president shall make rules for more convenient transactions of the business of the government of India, right? And for the allocation among ministers of the said business. Obviously, right? This is done by the president, right? Means the president makes rules for the more convenient transaction of the business of the government of India, right? And for the allocation of among ministers of the said business. This is the one of the you can say function of the president. Second says, all executive actions of the government of India shall be expressed to be taken in the name of the Prime Minister. No, shall be taken in the name of the President of India. President of India. Why President of India? Because President of India is the head of state. Head of state. Right? And Prime Minister is head of government. Right? So any treaty agreement or whatever or action, right, is taken or expressed, right, are taken in the name of President of India. Right? Because he represents he is the representative of India, right? Head of state, though nominal head, but he represents India at international level. Simple, right? Right? But here the statement is what? All executive actions. So executive action, whether it is national or international, right? So they shall be taken in the name of President of India, not the Prime Minister of India. So only statement, right? Statement 1 is correct, right? Not 2. Here I told you, not the Prime Minister, it is the President of India. Why? Because all the executive actions of government of India are expressed to be taken in the name of President of India. Why? Already I told you, he is head of state. Right? You can check the now check the correct answer. A says only one. So A is the right answer of this question. Right? No need to go for B, C or D. Just save your time. Right? You can check the explanation. Here is right. You can pause the video and you can read. Right? Article 77 clause 3 and Article 77 clause 1. Right? These two articles are important. You can read. I have already explained. Now, 11th question. It says, consider the following statements regarding no confidence motion in India. Simply, no confidence motion means when the current government is failed, right? Or, for example, the current MPs, right, at union level or MLAs at state level do not have confidence on the ruling government, right? They can bring no confidence motion, right? And at that time, the ruling government has to what prove majority in the house in front of the governor, right? And if the government fails to do so at state level or whether it is at union level, right, then the government will fall and all the ministers will have to resign, right? So it says, first, there is no mention of no confidence motion in the Constitution of India. Obviously, this is correct, right? No confidence motion is not mentioned in the Constitution of India. Where it has been written? In the rule book of the House, right? Simple. Second, a motion of no confidence can be introduced in Lok Sabha only, right? Obviously. Why Lok Sabha only? Because Lok Sabha is the what? House of people. Right? In other countries, for example, in Britain, it is called House of Representative. Right? So it can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. Right? So both these statements are correct. You can choose the correct option. A says one only, no. B says only two, no. C says both. So C is the right answer. No need to go for D. Both statements are correct. Now you can check the explanation as I told you earlier. Right? Here already I have told you that there is no mention of no confidence motion. No mention of no confidence motion in the Constitution of India. Why? Because it has or it does not explicitly mentions no confidence motion and governed by rule, right? Governed by rule 198 of rule of procedure and conduct business in Lok Sabha. Already I told you it is written in the rule book of House, lower house, that is Lok Sabha, right? And which rule? Rule number 198. This rule number 198. Right? And a no confidence motion is used to test what whether the council of ministers led by prime minister at union level, as I told you, or even at the state level, it is the council of ministers and chief minister, right, enjoy the confidence of the Lok Sabha, right? Or at the state level it is legislative assembly, right? If the motion is passed, the government must resign, right? The government will fall, all the ministers will have to resign, including the PM at union level or CM at state level, right? Second statement, obviously, motion of no confidence can be introduced in the Lok Sabha only, right? Not in the Rajya Sabha. Why? Because I told you that Lok Sabha represents what? People of India. Rajya Sabha represents state of India, right? And one more thing, why? Because the ministers, right, means council of ministers are collectively responsible, right? Collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha, not to the Rajya Sabha, right? Next, question number 12. Which of the following is the largest committee of parliament? Right. So I would suggest that you should remember certain important committees of parliament, at least certain important committees, right? Their members, their composition, right? So first is, mean it asks about the largest committee. So you can see that in the previous year's discussion, means 2013's question. Okay, again there was a question on committee on public accounts. You can go and watch. There was a question on committee on public accounts, and now you can see this year this has been included again in the option. So that's why I told you that solve all the MCQs of all the sections of prelims, right? From at least 12 years, for at least 12 years, from 2013 to 2024, right? And solve, and again also read about the options, right? And as far as possible, make a short notes or write something important, whichever or whatever you find, right, beside that. It will help you a lot, right? Though questions are not repeated, but options are repeated, questions are topics are repeated, right? So first is committee on public accounts. Committee on public accounts, obviously it has 22 members, 15 from Lok Sabha, 7 from Rajya Sabha, right? First it is Lok Sabha, it is Rajya Sabha. Committee on estimates, right? So committee on estimates, it has 30 members. How many members? 30 members. But here all members are from Rajya Sabha, all members from Lok Sabha, right? Not Rajya Sabha, sorry. All members from Lok Sabha. Third, committee on public undertakings, right? Committee on public undertakings also 22 members, right? 22 members means 15 from Lok Sabha, 7 from Rajya Sabha, right? And lastly, committee on petition also 22 members, right? Sorry, 25 members. 25 members, and among 25 members, what? 15 from Lok Sabha and 10 from Rajya Sabha, right? So you can clearly see what should be the right answer. Obviously option B. Why? Because it has 30 members, rest 22 members, 22 members, 25 members. So B would be the right answer. Means committee on estimates is the largest committee of parliament. Why? Because it has 30 members and all members are from Lok Sabha. Here this committee on public accounts, obviously 22 members, 15 from Lok Sabha, 7 from Rajya Sabha. Committee on public undertakings 22 members, 15 from Lok Sabha, 7 from Rajya Sabha. Committee on petition 25 members, 15 from Lok Sabha and 10 from Rajya Sabha, right? Now no need to explain, right? Or we will not read the explanation. If you want, I have done all this already. You can pause and read, right? Now we have reached the end, right? So today we have discussed 12 previous year question papers of UPSC prelims, that is that was from 2014. Right, in the next lecture we will discuss another year's previous year question paper, right, of topic polity. Right, till then keep revising, keep practicing, because every single second is important for you.